Welcome to The Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex athletics in a land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Geppi.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Kingdom Podcast, and I'm your host, Rocco Geppi. Fall sports playoffs are upon us, and to kick off this week's show, it's my pleasure to be joined by two men's soccer student athletes, midfielder Andy Portillo and goalkeeper Brenden LeMaster. Hey, guys, how's it going? Welcome, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Rocco.
Thanks for having us.
It is my pleasure, gentlemen. The team finished the regular season 14-1. Ranked number 2 in the NJCAA Division 2. They only lost to Division 1 Monroe with, probably like a European World All-Star team of internationals over there. So can't really fault too much there. But to go 14-0 throughout the rest of the schedule. Talk to me about how the team developed its chemistry from that first day of practice to now, and is there still room for growth? Andy, we'll start with you.
I think, honestly, there is definitely a lot of room for growth. Honestly, our motivation this season has just been to get back to that national championship, and I feel like that's kind of what's been motivating us to do so. That's why we did so well in the regular season. We all want, especially the returners. I feel like I can speak for all the returners. We all want to get back to that spot, that national final. We're all so motivated, and the chemistry's coming along. The freshmen, they came along so well. They came a long way from the beginning of the season. I'm just working to get back up there, honestly.
Brenden, what are your thoughts?
Pretty similar. The chemistry at first, I mean, with everything new and every start of the new season, there's always kind of the stigma that there's the returners and they have this little clique, and the new guys, they have this little clique, but it wasn't really the case with us. I feel like obviously there's friend groups just like with every team, but it was really just adding more members to our family. And it's really, the chemistry is built on and off the field during practice and after practice and before. We spend a lot of time together. That's really helped a lot. And really, we're just one big family, I feel like. And like Andy said, there's always room for growth, I feel like. But that's really with every family. There's always room for improvement. There's always going to be like little arguments here and there, but we all love each other in the end. And we'd ride or die with each other.
Did you think with this being kind of unprecedented for some of you being third-year sophomores because of the pandemic, do you think that has factored into the chemistry of this team at all?
I think so. Since we were all together, it's our third year. Most of us are mainly like third years. We've all gotten so close, really close, and I feel like that's kind of like carried on to the freshmen, and we, like Brenden said, we've all became like a big family. It's not just on the field, it's outside the field as well. It's really cool, honestly.
So looking at the playoffs as we're approaching here, the Knights, they have the number 1 seed. As you guys know, you're going to play the 4th seeded Potomac State Catamounts on October 28th in the Region 20 Division 2 semifinals, which is hosted by Howard Community College. We'll start with you, Brenden. What is the current quote unquote game plan? What are you guys looking to do in this game to ensure a Knights victory?
Well, in both the games, assuming and hoping that we are victorious the first game, in both the games, we pretty much have the same game plan to just play our game and keep the ball on the ground, keep it moving. I've watched a lot of the tape from previous games, and being the goalie, I kind of get the full picture. And really, every time that we move the ball and get more than 6 passes in a row, we're always creating a goal scoring opportunity, or we're inside the other team's box. Even if that's 4 passes in the back and then 2 1-2s up the field. Every time when we complete a series of passes, 6 or 7 or more, we're always in, and that's kind of our game plan going forward. To kind of just keep the same rhythm going on.
Hey Andy, as a midfielder who is involved in that we'll call, I guess, the second tier of that kind of play style, because once it's coming and you're transitioning from Brenden's area, you're very involved in the movement of the ball from that point as well. So talk about, just kind of touch on what Brenden was just talking about. Do you agree with that? And what more can you give us from a perspective of a midfielder?
I do agree with Brenden 100%. As a team, when we move the ball on the ground, it's beautiful. We get most of our wins that way, and that is definitely going to have to be the game plan versus Potomac State, the 28th, because our team doesn't have much height, so moving the ball is what we do best, and that's how we kill teams.
Well, to kind of play off of that, you led the team this year in shots with 50. You finished the regular season with 7 goals and 5 assists. Kind of, continuing the conversation along those lines, talk to me about how you create chances for yourself and for your teammates. What is involved in that?
Most of it is mainly off ball. It's all about off ball movement, moving around in the field when you don't have the ball, because there's only so much you can do when you have the ball. But you got to find the pockets, find the spaces. That's why I try to get so many shots off. That's thankfully that's why I get so many chances of finding those pockets of spaces that you can just create. And we have a lot of options up top, a lot of speed, a lot of skill up top with players like Toga, Kazu, Mike Edekambi, Sam Diaz. We have a lot of good players up top. From that, we get a lot of chances.
So kind of playing off of that, Andy, the team has scored 86 goals this season compared to 62 last season. So far, that's 2 more games that you've played this year over the spring season. What do you attribute to this increase?
I think it's just from this year we have more options. Last season we had barely any players compared to this year. This year we have probably around like a 32 player roster, 32 man roster. A lot of options, we get a lot of breathers. And well, now it looks like when we sub in, the level doesn't go down. Freshmen or whoever's coming in, the level doesn't go down, and we just keep on scoring, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, I definitely say the depth of this team is greater than last year. In fact, I think if we had the depth this year for last year's team, I personally think the national championship game goes another direction. Sure. But those are just my thoughts. But yeah, to your point, I mean, 7 goal scorers on this team with 7 goals or more. Noah has 6, and then Coda from the back position has 5 goals and an assist this year. So yeah, I think I would definitely agree with that assessment. Brenden, let's turn the field here. The defense has produced 10 shutouts so far this season. I want you to talk about what it takes, from starting with communication, et cetera, to achieve such a feat, and how having a good defense impacts you as a goalkeeper.
So ideally, the goalie should have the easiest position. The goalie really shouldn't touch the ball as long as the defense does their job. And I feel like our defense has done more than their job this season. Just if you look at all the shutouts and even the close games, the shot and save ratio are it's just insane. These games, I'm either touching the ball one time with my hands, or I might get like 4 shots, but they might be from far out. And it's really just because the defense is just playing so well. I do my best to help guide our defense and to what they're doing in the game by game and play by play situations. However, Coda, our center back, does a really good job. That he's kind of like the father figure of our defense, and well, he's our captain, so he's the head figure of the entire team, and he just does his job really well and directing our back line, even directing me at times if I need it. So I give all the praise to Coda for all of that.
That's really nice to reach out. And, I was just actually, talking to someone because I sit on a couple of committees as the sports info director of the region in the conference. And we were talking about how defenders usually, they're not going to have stats that they can be in, player of the month or athlete of the month category conversations, and that you really need students of the game to understand and to explain the role and the nuances of defenders in a sport like soccer. So continuing here with you, Brenden, now that the playoffs are on the horizon, does anything change for you as far as preparation or in-game play? There was only 9 games this season where you were, forced to play a full 90. Does that help or hinder? Talk to us a little bit about how the playoffs do or do not change how you view the game.
So the touching on the point of playing the full 90 and on a few of those games, I feel like that those games specifically have been kind of a struggle for the whole team as a whole. So that's given me a lot of preparation, a lot of experience to take with me into the playoffs and to learn from the mistakes if there were some. But in terms of my preparation, it's nice to have almost an entire 2 weeks before those playoffs actually start. And that has really changed my workout regimen from training a little bit before and after training sessions to, I guess, really just going harder at practice and working out a lot more outside of practice. I mean, I did that anyways, but now since I don't have to worry about killing my body for the next day when we have a game, when we have 3 games a week, I'm able to pretty much kill my body and have enough time to recover as well. So it's really just going as hard as possible until those playoffs start. Got
it. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. So final question here for both of you. Andy, we'll have you go first. In your last season as a Knight here, reflect on your experience and how it's impacted you both as a student athlete and personally.
Well, I've definitely enjoyed all my 3 seasons, all my semesters here at Essex as a Knight. It's made me grow, not just as a player, but as a person as well. It's really just been exposed to the life of a student athlete, a collegiate student athlete, and it was a great experience, honestly. Just played with good players my freshman year, surrounded around good group of guys, good group of people, good group of staff. Just grown from it, learned a lot.
Brenden, same question for you.
What's impacted me in just about every way, I now have a larger family than I did previously, which is always nice going forward just in life and going forward in soccer. I always have people to rely on, I feel like. And in terms of academics, it definitely was a hard road academically, but I did what I had to do, and I made a lot of connections, and I achieved what I wanted to. So, I mean, there's always room for improvement, like I said earlier, but it's definitely been a road. I'm definitely a better person because of it. From all the struggles in academics to overcoming what I needed to overcome. And I'm honestly just grateful.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me. We're gonna have to let them go. It sounds like during this call, Brendan's building a house or something out there at the same time. So let you guys get back to it. In all seriousness, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been fun. Andy Portillo and Brenden LeMaster, folks, Thursday, October 28th, live from Howard Community College. The Knights, in search of their 10th consecutive Region 20 title, take on the Catamounts of Potomac State at 12 noon. For more information on how to attend in person or watch online, visit howardccdragons.com. That's howardccdragons.com. We're going to step aside for 30 seconds. When we return, I'll have the women's soccer update as I'm joined by my second pair of guests this episode. You don't want to miss it. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed. When it comes to realizing who I am and what I can be, I will not tie my dreams to somebody else's definition of success. I will not confuse a fancy name with a good education.
For all the practical thinkers, the achievers, the can't wait to get started types out there, your community college is waiting. Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at ccbcmd.edu and see what you can be.
Welcome back to the Kingdom, and now it's time to talk Knights women's soccer. Here to help me are the captains of the team, Kara, Dietrich, and Aya Neal. Hello, ladies, and welcome, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It is my pleasure. A lot going on in the Kingdom for women's soccer as the regular season has come to an end, with the Knights earning the number 1 seed in the Region 20 Division II tournament. So I'll start with you, Kara. What's the mindset of the team going into the tournament? How's everybody feel going in?
Well, I think we feel pretty good. We had a great season, but without a lot of subs, we have to stay focused and keep a strong mentality, especially in the second halves.
And Io, how do you view it?
I think I agree with Kara. We have to just stay strong and stay focused going forward and just keep our eyes on the prize.
Now, the Knights earning the number 1 seed, and since there are only 3 teams that entered this tournament, you all advanced directly to the finals. Aya, do you think this is something that's a positive thing or a negative thing?
I don't know, because I would have liked to get a game in before we went to the finals, just so that we could work out any kinks that we may have. But also on the same time, it's good that we're going to the final right away.
Kara, what do you think?
I think it's good because it gives us a good break. A lot of people have some injuries, so it's good for them to get a break. But I also miss not having a game for a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. There's only so much that you can get accomplished and do and practice before you have a game. And in your case, the 14th of October was your last game against Hagerstown. It was an 8-0 win. And now you're not going to play for what will be 16 days. It's definitely not ideal, but it does have its pros and cons.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We just said we finished the season 8-3. We always want to look at the good side of things, but we rarely want to talk about the negative. So let's talk about the negative in the form of a positive. What have you learned from the 3 losses this year? And I guess, Aya, you can go first.
What I've learned from the 3 losses is that, from the start of the whistle and even in the beginning of warm-ups, we should come out and be 100% and not let the other team dictate how we play. We should dictate how we play on our own, and just come out with intensity and energy from the first whistle.
What say you, Kara?
Yeah, I agree with Aya, but I just think we should keep that same energy in the second half. We had a couple games that we came out really strong and we're up a goal or 2 and came back, and then the other team came back, and I think we lost the game because of that. So just keeping the same energy in the second half.
Understood. Good information. And just so the folks out there know, first loss of the year was a 2-1 loss to Monroe Community College. And then the next loss was the biggest margin of defeat, which was a 7-0 loss to Monroe College. Looking at both of them, though, as we sit here today, Monroe College is ranked 10th in the nation for Division I's, and Monroe Community College, they're no slouchers themselves. And then your only other loss was a 1-goal loss to Montgomery College, who is really coming on at the right time here, heading into for them what will be the Division I region tournament. So, it's not like the 3 losses are something to hang your heads about. I could definitely see, learning something from each one of them. And much like the men's team, scheduling those Monroe College games to really get the team ready for what's going to come. And that's the region tournament where you make a run to hopefully return to nationals. So let's get to know a little tiny bit more about each one of you. Anybody want to volunteer to go first?
I'll go first, I guess.
All right. I'm guessing that's Aya.
Yes, Aya.
All right, good. We do these audio, but we're having some video challenges, folks. So it's very hard to tell. These two spend too much time together. They're beginning to sound alike at this point in the season. So Aya, after leading the back line this season, what are some of the ways that you communicate with your teammates in order to keep that back line intact?
I just like whenever they feel like they made a mistake or whenever they feel down on themselves about maybe a player beat them or they didn't step to a ball, I just try to encourage them and tell them, we'll get the next one. We'll get the next one. And before every game, we always just say no goals, just like so we can not let the other team score and just keep a positive mindset in our heads. And I just try to be encouraging to them, like no matter what, go out there and play our hardest.
Good information. What about like schematically, like how do you communicate with them on, keeping shape and how to do that and things of that nature?
One of the things I think I communicate well is especially like an offsides trap.
Mm-hmm.
If I see like there's a player kind of lingering behind us, and then somebody's trying to play through ball, I tell the back line to hold. And usually when I say hold, we all hold. And usually the player who's running, trying to get that ball is offsides.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Abby communicate with each other on when we should step or who should step, because we're both in the middle. And sometimes like the ball will go up and she'll be like, Aya, you can go, and she'll stay back, or I'll tell her she can go and then I'll stay back. Excellent.
Good stuff to know. Things that just watching the game from afar, we really don't get to hear much of. So let's talk more about this regular season and you at center back, taking on a lot of premier forwards in the league. How do you go about personally attacking those ball carriers and pressuring the opponents?
I just basically just try and keep my eyes on the ball. Just watch the ball. Don't watch their feet, because at the end of the day, the ball has to get in the back of the net to score. So just watch the ball and where it's going. And once I see that they don't really know what to do with the ball, I make a step and make my move and try and get them off their game.
All right. Final question for you. Unfortunately for us, this is your first and last season here in the Kingdom. Why don't you tell us about any favorite memories or instances that you've had this year?
Honestly, my favorite memory is like when I scored. I don't know. I don't really score a lot. So like when I scored, it just like felt good. And like I feel like Kara's always the goal scorer and I like assist Kara all the time. But on this instance, Kara assisted me. So like it felt good to like her like helping me out because I help her out. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, you picked up your only points in the season in that game, September 4th against Mercer County Community College. You had a goal and an assist in that game. I'm sure really doing that and playing for all the backs out there in the world that don't get a chance to score.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to flip things over here to Kara. Thanks for your patience. Your third season because of the red shirt rules during the pandemic, and this will be your third region tournament. Is there anything different that you see this year opposed to last year? And you cannot use the answer of the last time we played it in spring. That's a softball. You can't use that.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's for junior colleges, the teams change almost every year, so you can't really predict how the games are going to go. So I think that's something to take into account.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, we see so many teams perennially that are either really, really good or not so good, and things could go south or north in the blink of an eye. I think that's a good observation. So one of the things that we know happened in recent weeks, you picked up your 100th career goal in just 45 games. What is going through your head when you have the ball in that final third? What are you looking to do? Obviously you're looking to score. You have 100 goals. But what exactly is going through your mind before that ball takes off from your foot?
Well, I always try to make the runs off the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to create as many opportunities for myself as well as my teammates, especially the outside mids.
Yeah, he or she agrees with you. Who do we have joining the show?
That is Roxy.
Roxy, obviously a fan of yours, Kara.
She sure is.
Right. Well, more accolades as we just got some information this week, actually, right before we had this interview. Kara picking up Maryland JUCO Women's Soccer Athlete of the Month and a new award to the region this year, the Region 20 Women's Soccer Division II Player of the Month. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, I think it's the third or fourth time you've won the Maryland JUCO one, and this is the first year for the Region Player of the Month. So how's it feel?
It feels great. I mean, I'm always humble about my awards, and I couldn't do it without my awesome teammate, especially my center back, Aya.
What do you think, Aya? What do you think? Was that just because you're sitting here with us, or is that legit?
No, that's legit.
I think it's legit. Me and Kara have a good bond.
Yeah, but we're on a podcast. We have to create some sort of perceived controversy.
I hear you, Carol.
Absolutely no controversies here. This team, probably, one of the closer teams that I've seen in recent years for Knights women's soccer, and hopefully you all will be able to make a good run. The final question here, because we asked a similar one of Aya, and Kara, don't think that you're gonna get out that easy, but this being your last season as a Knight, like we said, with the red shirt pandemic exception, 3 years here. Talk about some of your favorite memories of being here with the Knights.
Well, there sure is a lot. Obviously, the long bus rides are always a great time. I guess my favorite memory would probably have to be the 2019 season when we went up to Monroe, New York to play them, and we beat them, and it was just a great time.
Yeah, that was a magical season. I gotta say, I've been around the team since 2009, and that might have been one of the most magical seasons I've ever been a part of. All right, ladies. Well, you are off the hook. All the questions have been asked, and appreciate you being here. Is there anything either one of you want to share with the listeners that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Come and support us as we make our run in regionals.
Yes, indeed. You're going to have to wait a little bit, though, as we mentioned the Knights advancing to the finals of the regional tournament. That will be on Saturday, October 30th. So the day before Halloween, come out and cheer on the Knights at Howard Community College. The tournament being hosted by the Dragons, as we mentioned earlier in this broadcast. The Knights will play on that day against the winner of the semifinal game, which is going to be between Howard and Potomac State. The Knights will play the 30th at 12 noon in the first game of the championship Saturday. For Aya and Kara, again, thank you so much. And we're going to hit our last commercial break of the podcast. Again, for more information on the region tournament, visit howardccdragons.com. And we will be right back to close things up, give you some information on women's basketball and men's and women's cross country here on the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed. When it comes to realizing who I am and what I can be, I will not tie my dreams to somebody else's definition of success. I will not confuse a fancy name with a good education.
For all the practical thinkers, the achievers, the can't wait to get started types out there, your community college is waiting. Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at ccbcmd.edu and see what you can be.
We are back for the final segment, and we'll close things out with some cross-country and hoops news. Cross-country heading into the home stretch of 2021. On Saturday, October 16th, they ran in the Hood College Open. The women had a 5K race, Madison Magaha, finishing at 23:34.8 seconds to place 45th out of a total of 106 runners, comprised mostly of four-year schools, so good showing from Madison. Her teammate, Natalia Johnson, not too bad herself, finishing 84th with a respectable time of 21 minutes, 40.6 seconds. On the men's side, the Knights ran an 8K, and Brenden Berkey continues to pace Essex. He finished 42nd in a field of 158 participants with a finishing time of 30 minutes, 49.5 seconds. Sam Smith also ran well, finishing with a time of 33:28.1, good enough for 86th place. Rounding out the Knights men's squad, Patrick Bennett running a time of 36 minutes, 24.3 seconds, and Isaiah Hawley at 37 minutes, 9 seconds exactly. Next up for the Knights is the Region 20 Division II Maryland JUCO Championships on Saturday, October 30th. The Knights will hit 95 North and head to Westmoreland County Community College in Youngwood, Pennsylvania, as they look to compete individually and team-wise on the men's side. And on the women's side, Madison and Natalia will run in the race as individuals. Again, that will be on October 30th at Westmoreland County Community College. On to women's basketball, as the Knights will play their first home scrimmage on Sunday, October 24th, against NCAA Division II opponent University of D.C. The Knights also recently had their annual media day. Head over on Twitter to ccbcessex_WBB and check out some of the photos and fun stuff from that session. CCBC Essex women's basketball continues to prepare for its return, opening the season on November 3rd at Harcum College. They will stay on the road until their home opener on November 13th against Monroe College right here in the Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you sticking around for our show today. That's all the time we have for this episode. Again, special thanks to Andy Portillo, Brenden, LeMaster, Dietrich and Aya Neal from Men's and Women's Soccer for joining me on the show this week. Make sure to follow us on social media. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at CCBC Essex Sports. And Facebook and YouTube, you can keyword search CCBC Essex Athletics. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because that will give you notification updates anytime we upload new content or when we go live when live streaming our home events. And the website, like we mentioned last week, the redesign is complete. Make sure you check it out, ccbcessexknights.com, and let us know what you think. The social media handles for all of our fall and winter sports teams are in the episode description, so make sure you follow them as well. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, so long and be well.